Hey there, I'm Neil. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the host and producer of Pause and Rewind, the podcast that chats to changemakers, thought leaders and role models who all share a common goal. They're striving to make the world a more inclusive place. And, let's face it, we need it. Each guest has a unique story when it comes to doing their thing, and we often know who people are in the now, but how much do we really know about them? Pause and Rewind takes a moment to explore the experiences, realisations and relationships in my guest's life that led them to where and who they are now, because everyone loves an origin story. We'll dive into tales, anecdotes and a little of what makes our guest tick. So whether you're here for insights or inspo or simply want to know about your heroes, this podcast is for you. You might never know someone's story, but if you pay attention, you'll hear it, you'll see it and you'll feel it. So, are you ready to pause and rewind? Hey Nadu, welcome to Pause and Rewind. It's brilliant to have you here. You are my last episode of this season and we're closing out where the podcast first launched, and that's during Lesbian Visibility Week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Neil. Very excited. I love that. The last in this series.
Oh, well, listen, I love you and the work that you do. But before we dive into that, I'd love to know, what does the world look like for Nadu Placca Rodriguez right now?
I've recently turned 40 in November last year. So I think anyone who has hit that milestone can absolutely appreciate that the world is just like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? And a lot of stuff has come to light internally for myself, externally with my surroundings, everything that's been quite warm, I would say, very grounding, a lot of character building within it. So I've definitely just had a really beautiful, I would say, spiritual experience in South Africa. I was there for 3 months, taking a bit of a sabbatical, I would say, and really, gearing myself up for the next stage of my career, the next stage of my personal life. My daughter's just turned 21. So now leaning into a different area of like adulthood there. Yeah, it's interesting. It's exciting, I would say. I feel like I'm on the oh my God, oh my gosh, I can't say the word.
It's a hard word. Precipice.
Edge of something, yes, that I'm now very excited to see what's on the other side. So yeah, I would say it's a very interesting time in my world right now.
It sounds super interesting. And your 40s, I know when I hit my 40s, there were so many different realizations about myself, around self-acceptance, about being unapologetic as fuck. It was the theme for my 40th. And just this whole kind of like, this is who I am.
Yeah, very much so. It's funny because I started outlining a book several years ago, and I was figuring out how to tell my story, and it actually is inspired by one of my favorite albums, Jill Scott. This is Jill Scott, and I've kind of followed the pattern of like where her songs were titled, and I was stuck for about 3 years not knowing what the next chapter was, and the next song was One Is the Magic Number, and I literally was like, oh, this is it now. It's now about me, and what does that look like, and really taking that all on board. So yeah, it is very much like less fucks given, and I'm putting myself first here.
I love that. And obviously kind of like there's a like we're getting a sneak peek there into what's coming up kind of next for you in terms of your thinking. Really excited about that book. That sounds like a wicked outline for a book.
One day.
One day. It's, yeah. There's a lot going on, right? Tell us about what you do. Tell us about the zoo. Tell anyone that doesn't know about it, what do you do? How do you show up in the world?
Yes. Well, I'm the director and founder of an international event agency called the Zoo XYZ if you're American, where we really focus on providing access into the event industry, supporting predominantly Black women, but people of diverse backgrounds access into the event industry, where predominantly we are on the stage being the entertainers and the performers, but we're not seen behind the scenes. So it's really important for me to support many who look like me to come through into the industry, and so they see like, oh, there's actually people who look like us doing all the hard work behind the scenes. And it's very exciting. We last year launched a New York office. So it's one that sits there. And we also have Ghana as well, and London. So kind of tri-continental. And education is the heart of everything we do. So we have a lot of educational courses that are aimed at bringing more people through the ropes and supporting where we can.
I love that. And as someone that's been in the events industry for 20 years, and I know that we're kind of similar timelines in the events industry, it's really exciting for me to talk to someone from the industry about their journey. But amazing, like how exciting having those 3 offices now and in such vibrant locations as well. What's the difference that you see from an industry level across the 3 different three different?
It was completely different. Like right now, America, they have budget. So US team is very happy with
That's
how they're
nice.
doing. Yes. With everything that is going on in the world, it's crazy. UK, I don't know, a bit more stringent, very British, I would say, personality to approaching projects and things. And on the continent in Ghana, I really want to spend more time there to be able to push. I think one thing I've realized about doing work across the continent is that every country has a completely different nuance. And it really, really helps when you are there to be in the kind of crux of things to help things moving. So I'm looking forward to being able to spend more time in each location to develop more and more. I think London is where we need it to be. The next stage for me is being able to pour into the US market when that side of things picks up and be able to join the team over there and see what can be done. And yeah, just take things to a new level. It's very exciting. The potential, I think, that I've been able to grow this agency to globally and the people that we work with to be able to give it the foundation it's got to get to where it is now. It's very exciting. I'm very proud of everyone.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see it get the recognition it deserves. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that for yourself in a moment, but in terms of the people that you are bringing on board in the agency, you know, that representation in the events industry, it is lacking still, right? Let's kind of call it what it is. It's still really lacking, particularly at leadership level with the events industry. It is still predominantly in an industry that is very female dominated. Is very dominated still by white, cis, middle-aged men.
Mhm.
Also, when you go to the events industry as a queer man, yes, I see a few people here and there, but you don't see the whole LGBTQ plus family represented. You don't see the Black representation, the disabled representation. It's still a massive problem in our industry.
It is. It is. I don't even know if there's a quick one. It's a very question. It's a statement. The work still exists. It's funny because we were in Barcelona last year giving a talk at IBTM. And one of the things we were talking about with our topic was that DEI is dead in a sense of it's been, from an industry standpoint, a tick box, which, you know, throughout COVID was acknowledged and we're now doing stuff with. And now it's like, okay, we've done that. We're now on to, you know, what is it, 2030, where they're looking at energy levels and stuff. It's like, yeah, we've moved on. But like what doesn't move on is the fact that I'm still Black or I'm still gay or I'm still, you know, like you're still there navigating. So what does the sustainability look like thereafter now to say, well, these things are still in place to be able to support those in the industry? And yeah, that's still the challenge that we're looking at supporting, but from a different angle and different approach now. That I think the external vision looks different and we're perceived different. So we have to move different.
Yeah, of course, of course. And we met a few years ago, and it was actually when I was on a panel, and it was an industry event, and we both went, and meeting you was brilliant, and hearing about what you do, and we've since gone on to kind of be connected through We Create Space and such. But I was on a panel talking about DEI on a full white panel lineup, with total lack of representation in that room, and that to me, as someone that sits in the event industry and across DEI, was kind of like, yeah, there's still so much to be done. And I guess, do we see it improving? Because in some ways, in some small areas, I think it has. But I think I look at lineups at the big events industry shows and it's gotten better, but I still think there's just so much work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, there really is. I look at things and I'm just like, I just don't think it's that difficult. I just feel that you should have at least one person in your network that you could pick up the phone to and be like, help. I need some more people that experience the way you do to be able to say, could you recommend someone that can sit comfortably on this panel? Yeah. There are more than enough people out there from various diversities that can support. So I think it's a little bit lazy, if I'm honest.
It's lazy. It's so lazy because there are people out there. You just have to do a little bit more research and dig. And many of us have made the mistakes of forming those panels and then having to fix them later down the line. But if you do the work up front, my gosh, it makes it so much easier later on in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no excuse.
Not today. What are some of the joys about doing what you do? Because I know, listen, working in the events industry, it is a challenge. It's taxing. I think people have this idea that it's all glamour. We know otherwise. But what are some of the joys that you find from it?
You know, I will say with the Zoo XYZ and the space that's kind of been created in that home, in that nucleus, I will say being able to show up unapologetically as myself and to encourage others that step into our space to do so, and to support and protect that space when we go into other spaces. I would say that's something I love. Like at the moment, I don't have nails. This was part of my journey of when I was in South Africa, removing them. But, I've got my long ass nails and, I can just be, and I'd say that's a real privilege and I don't take that for granted. And I really encourage everyone that steps in with our team to do so as well. Having to navigate certain spaces, I think, yes, there's times that we have to adapt. We are the Zoo XYZ. My animal is actually a chameleon because I feel like I can enter spaces and adapt and be able to navigate, but I also do so as my true self. And I think, it's something that I think we at the Zoo XYZ definitely appreciate, and something I appreciate that I can provide a space for other people to be that as well.
That is so beautiful. In terms of your animal being the chameleon, is there a practice within the team where everyone gets one?
Everyone has their own spirit animal. So you have to think about who your spirit animal would be, like what that looks like. We have, if you ever come to our office, we have there's a windowsill, every single person's animal. Then we've got about 15, 20 animals now, people that have come through the zoo, have worked here with the core team now. So yeah, you have to have your animal.
I mean, I'm desperate to come to your office at some point. We've spoken about it before, and I need to come check it out. In terms of the world right now, obviously we've touched on it already, but events often get pushed to one side because of budget. DEI gets pushed to one side because of budget. And then I just wonder, how are you kind of navigating that internally, particularly as we say in the UK market?
Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah, we've been very lucky up to this point. I will say lucky. We have extended our reach into our network, and word of mouth has been the biggest thing that's really driven our business. Now it's at a point where I'm like, okay, it's been great that we've got these clients, these return clients, but it's also now trying to get into spaces where we typically wouldn't get into. I actually hate networking.
Same.
So nervous. Like people would always like, oh, no. And I'm like, you have no idea how I feel. I will literally stand in the corner and not talk to anyone. So even that, as I'm saying it to you, I'm like, I have people that I need to follow up from this event that I was at and I was observing. But yeah, it's really about trying to nurture new relationships so people can see and be like, oh, okay, maybe I can recommend you to someone. Because I think what I'm feeling is definitely there are a lot of cliques in the industry, people who know each other, that work with each other, which, stands to reason. But I also want to be able to try and get into new and different spaces that the Zoo XYZ hasn't been in before, where we know we're capable of delivering, but we just need the opportunity to be seen in a particular room. So yeah, this year is definitely about being able to push past some of those boundaries a bit more.
So if we were to pitch now and say to there's new people on the call that kind of might be thinking, I'd be really interested in talking to Nadu about that. What can people expect with working with Zoo XYZ?
Yeah. Do you know what? Passion, drive, honesty. I think one of the biggest things is understanding we're very lucky to be in a position where we can work with clients who get us and we get them. When we understand someone's passion and drive, it can be matched with our own. Operational excellence is one of the things we bring to the table, making sure processes, procedures, dealing with communities that look like us and that don't, those diverse people. It's there to say, come to the experts. Yes. People are always worried about cost and navigating, but one thing I'll say is we're able to be flexible, but just because we have Zooligans. So anyone who's done our training courses and have graduated as our alumni, you become a Zooligan. And we have Zooligans with, again, like 10, 15 years experience, 20 even, right the way through to people entering the industry. But we have enough people and enough opportunity to be able to scale and flex to people's budgets to be able to support them. So yeah, just give us a try, You'll be pleasantly surprised.
I have no doubt. Well, listen, I'm so excited to see what's next for you, particularly with kind of the New York stuff, and love being in your orbit. And just a shout out. We spoke about it before we hit record, but, being appointed for the board of EVCOM, that was amazing news. Like, you excited about it? What can people expect with you kind of stepping into that role?
Yeah, I'm a sponge right now. So this has been really exciting. So the back end of 2025, we won their gold live event agency of the year. So was very excited there. And it's just been an opportunity to come back and see what else we can do. So I'm trying to have a lens, like supporting their award shows, making sure we have more diverse entrants coming through and supporting. So wherever I can be showing up, trying to have a good balance between obviously the board stuff and the stuff for the zoo and the stuff we're doing with the association. But yeah, really trying to support as best as I can. So very excited to see what EVCOM have got up their sleeve for this year and how we'll be supporting alongside them for sure.
They're a great crowd. I've loved working with them, and hopefully I'll get to do so more so that we can also like work together. I would love that. Nadu, I'm so excited to dive into your origin story. With that, are you ready to pause and rewind?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Here we go. Take me back. Tell me all about little Nadu.
How little do you want her to be?
The littlest.
How little do I remember? It's funny. I'm still friends with some of my youngest friends from primary school who I've known since I was 4 years old. So my best friend Chantel, she's actually our head of event operations. When I think about us as 4 years old and my friend Danny Mosey, who's an actress, I'm actually going to go see her perform tomorrow. It's crazy to think the foundations of those relationships when you're in primary school and you have no idea about anything, but you're just existing and joyous. And I just have, vivid memories of us just playing all the time and laughing. I think that's something that definitely comes from childhood, is a lot of laughter. I definitely had a fun childhood from a young age for sure. I remember like getting married in the playground. Like, why do you do that when you're young? Oh, let's get married. Okay. Right the way through to like after school clubs with some, again, of my closest friends that I'm still friends with now. We went to the same secondary school, university together, just doing crazy stuff. Like I always loved playing games, like clapping, card games, ball games, like throwing stuff. That very much is like hearing you ask that question is like taking me back to like Southeast London nostalgia, primary school vibes. Ice cream van, ice creams.
Oh yes, always.
Oysters. Oh my gosh. Right then to secondary school. Secondary school was interesting because I wanted to go to a local school, and I remember I wasn't quite in the catchment area, but based on just before my parents separated and divorced, my mum's house was still in the catchment area. So I was lucky that we could get in. And it was just really nice to be at that school. Like some of my friends went there, but it was very new. Massive, massive school where I was literally like a small fish in a massive pond. And trying to like build relationships with the older kids who would then look after you and they would have your back. So really understanding kind of hierarchy from a young age. It's interesting that now you're saying there's all these things that are coming like flooding back. Where does this come from? And when I was in year 9, so for year 9, I left the UK and I went to school in Lesotho, which is landlocked by South Africa. So I went there and schooled there for just a year, but it felt like I was there for a good 3-4 years. It was amazing. Experience. Amazing. And it's funny because my mum at the time, she was like, I want you to go to Africa and understand and have a real experience and understand, culture and, how kids grow up there. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. And ended up going to a private school where all my friends drove BMWs and Mercedes. And I was like, this is Africa? I was like, at 13, this is amazing. And it honestly is something that has just stayed with me throughout my whole life, just the riches and the richness of culture that was on the continent that you learn about. And I've been very lucky to kind of travel through an experience. But yeah, little Nadu she was adventurous. She was open and excited for challenges and seeing what things could be, and was always a community person, like trying to bring friends and people together. Yeah, she was cool. Little Nadu was cool.
I mean, she sounds cool. And I guess I often ask this question of kind of, is that the Nadu that you relate to now? Are you able to tap back into that little Nadu? Do you see yourself?
Sometimes. I think HMRC knows my name now, so it's a little bit different, when you've got responsibility. Very much so. And I do think, running a business is just something else.
Yeah.
Run a business, they say. It'll be fun, they say.
They say. And so taking it back to what you like at school, I'm getting the feel that you were fun, adventurous, lots of games and laughter. What was school like as an experience? Was it something that you enjoyed?
Yes and no. I think in the early years, definitely, I think threw myself into education. But it's funny because I was always I would just be talking, but I would still be able to get my work done. Multitasking, probably like undiagnosed ADHD at that point. But
I hear you.
Right? But never really knowing, you just kind of get on with it. I definitely remember always talking, teacher always telling me like, no, do you're talking. I'm like, yeah, but I've done my work. So I'm still doing the things I need to. And it was fun. I was in my later years of school, I definitely bunked a lot, a
Okay.
lot. And I think, again, after coming back from school in Lesotho, when I came back academically, even though I came back to year 10, I was already had been doing like year 11 work. So I was already ahead and really took that for granted, because now I was like, I can kind of just coast a little bit. And so I bunked and didn't go in so much, and I hang out a bit, with friends doing not very much, but again, still got the work done and still kind of coasted through. So I'd say I realized at that point that I could get by, like, by doing the bare minimum. Like, I didn't have to be like the A-star student, but I could still be quite, highly academic, but still be cool, while not thinking that being cool was academic. In that day and age, does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think that peer pressure and all of that comes into it, and then maybe being a little bit cocky. I also didn't really like work that hard. I definitely hard relate to that coasting thing. What did you think was the goal? What at that age? What did you think you wanted to do when you grew up?
I wanted to be a lawyer. I remember that much. I always felt like I was very good at debating. Let's say that I was very good at debating, and so thought that being a lawyer would be a good career. And I think I've since, like, doing numerology, they said, you would have been a good lawyer, and I was like, oh, I always felt that. No, I don't think I knew. I'd always been
Same.
involved. Like, from primary school, we had a head teacher who was completely enthused about music, so we used to have a school talent show every Friday. And so we used to dress up and be like the Spice Girls and be doing dance moves. And maybe one week I was doing like sound production, helping like wrap microphones up and set up microphones to perform. And my dad, like, as such, he had a live music performance night once a month. So I was also going and helping there and going to exhibitions and stuff with my mum. So I was always embedded within kind of music, culture, arts in some way. And I think that subconsciously was probably just with me, whilst I was then getting like my organization skills together, to then realize, like, oh, this is something that you are naturally good at. But I don't think I really knew it at that young age. You don't really know.
No, I don't think so. I think unless you know that you know that for certain that you want to be a vet, a doctor, or lawyer, you kind of go in many ways. And also, I don't possibly the ADHD side of me. I wanted to be all the things at any one time, like and so I kind of fell into what I'm doing now because being an events producer, definitely not on the cards, not something that people talked about. We're similar ages, wasn't really a vocational or career that we knew about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of do just fall into it.
Yeah.
And that came a lot older, when I was about, I would say probably, I remember very distinctively, like, for my first birthday, mine and Chantel's 21st birthday, I was planning a weekender to Amsterdam with like 21 people. And that was a time, I think, even actually from 19, I think we did was it like a bar crawl in Manchester and Bolton, as you do. But like, it was definitely being older that now, I could piece things together. So in primary school, I don't think quite knew, to your point. Yeah, it was like, yeah, lawyer would be good, but let's see where we land.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about teenage years then, it's obviously a time of realization for many of us in terms of kind of coming out, sexuality, changes in our bodies and our relationships with people. What did that look and feel like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a whole baby at 19, so all of that came together in one, like,
Boom.
okay. Yeah. So pregnant at 18, had my daughter when I was 19. And I think at that point I was like, oh, I'm responsible for a human being, so I should probably do a little bit of something with my life right now. Considering I've been doing not very much. I think just before then I had the first and only full-time job I've had outside of what I do. I worked for NatWest as a cashier. So I was there, and then I left, and then I was pregnant, and I was like, damn, I missed maternity pay after being there for a year. I was like, damn, I could have got that. And yeah, was just thrown into the reality of being a young mum, really.
Yeah. And and what was that like? Thinking back, was it something, did you have a lot of support around you? Was it something you enjoyed? Did you feel like you were missing out on your 20s? What was the
Yeah.
overarching feeling?
No, do you know what? I feel like I definitely remember, it's funny because I had this conversation just this morning, but I definitely remember having my daughter and being at a point of, again, needing to do something. I remember calling up the Department of Work and Pensions and talking, because I was looking into university. And I was being told I had to kind of go back to college. So I remember putting the wheels in motion because I didn't finish college before. So I was doing like an access course, which was a year in the evening. And then like wanting to go to uni and being told no. Basically, I was in private accommodation, so my rent was like $250 a week or something, and to have a nursery was like $350 a week. I remember speaking to like DWP, and they were like, "Yeah, it's best that you just wait until she's 4, and then when she's 4, then you go to university, because then you'll be able to get, you know, universal credit, tax credit, whatever it was back then. Do you know what I mean? To be able to keep you through, so then you don't have to." I'm like, whoa, hold up. So you're telling me I can't work for 4 years? I'm like, that's not going to happen. And so I had to go and get 3 jobs. And I remember that I was very intentional with these jobs as well, because yes, being young, you still want to have a social life. You still want to go out with your friends. So I ended up working at my uni bar. So I was able, while everyone was getting pissed, to be able to support them whilst they were getting pissed, but I was making money, but still networking. So it was like a really good balance. But yeah, I think I still was able to just be a 20-something-year-old throughout that as well. I think, you know, my friends that were there, my mum, I think she moved up to Manchester by then. I think my dad also moved to France and then Senegal at some point. I'm an only child, so I don't have any siblings, but my daughter's dad's side of the family were very supportive and around at the time. So, and my friends as well. So I was able to lean on them. I was the youngest person having a child. So it was also very new and foreign to us as well, that, you know, she had to come with me and do everything I did.
Yeah. Where did that drive come from? You know, you've used words deliberately, like, you know, you felt the need to do something and you intentionally got the 3 jobs. And what was the drive? Because some people would just sit and think, oh, okay, cool, I'll wait until it gets easier. But what spurred you to say, no, actually, that's not enough for me?
I don't know. I think I definitely wanted what the perception of norm was, what that norm would have been for us to be. And whilst, you know, I'm from South East London, born and bred, this is me through and through, there was also like the experience that I didn't want that to just be my daughter's experience. And so I kind of felt that I was responsible and had to then make that change. Like no one else was going to come and do it for me. So it was really then trying to throw myself into as many different opportunities and experiences to figure out what I did want, how I could get better at doing it, and then just build. And I think some of that's also just been ingrained in who I am, is what I've come to learn, that it's kind of just always been in there, that I think I just would have done an element of that in some way, shape or form in whatever I did, that, you know, pushing and driving forward.
Yeah. Same for me. I just grafted. I often did more than one job. I was always throwing my hand in and thinking, oh, do you know what, I'm going to try this and see if that lands. Like it just, and I don't know where my answer to that question myself is I don't know where it came from. I just knew that I was striving towards something, even if I didn't know what it was for. Yeah. What did early career look like? You know, because we falling into the events industry is quite common.
Yeah. Well, I was very lucky because I found an event course, which was in London. So I studied at London Metropolitan and did their event management and music and management course. So I was very lucky to, obviously I couldn't be away from home, so to speak, because I lived in London and I had a child. So it was very convenient. And there, I think a lot of the stuff I learned, I didn't really know how to apply into actual events until after I graduated. I was like, oh, that's what we were talking about in year 1. I remember that. Yeah. And even though I was doing a work experience and throwing myself out there, the vocational aspects of that career knowledge really supported having that university kind of experience. But it was definitely the practical experience that paved, I think, a lot of the way for me. I remember at 18, my first volunteering role was at a local festival called Lucian People's Day that happens in Mountsville Park in South. And I remember there was like a drive where they were, you know, putting roles out and doing the promotion locally. And I remember getting the form, which was just a double-sided A4 piece of paper. That was it. This was 2008. Double-sided A4 piece of paper. It needed to be submitted in 3 months' time. I literally submitted it the next day. And I remember when I spoke to them and I interviewed like 3 months later, they were like, your application was the first application we received 2 months before anyone else applied.
Oh, wow.
So I already stood out because they were like, who is this person? And it's funny because I recognize that version of myself in young people today when they're approaching me for work and wanting opportunity and coming. And you can see the people that are hungry. And that want it. And I think I've always, through my own journey that I've had with my career, been able to see people that you know are going to utilize the Zoo XYZ, like, and me as a stepping board, as a leap pad into the industry, because we encourage people, but it's like, there's no like loyalty in a sense of you don't owe me something. Like, I'm here to provide that opportunity for you to get into the industry, whatever that looks like for you. Like, please use it, but use it wisely. And it's really nice when you see people and you know, like, going to be here for a little while because you are just going to bounce and do, you know, however we can continue to nurture people, we'll always do. And it's really nice that I've been able to see that in myself, see things that people saw in me when working for them that I can now see and pass on as well. Because it's a beautiful thing when you see that drive in young people.
Absolutely. I think there's an element of falling into an industry like the events industry where it takes someone else to see it in you. And I know that Shonali Devereaux, who I don't know, you connect, Shonali Devereaux was the person that gave me my big break in the events industry. And Shonali's still very much in my life. She's a friend. She was a mentor. And it was Shonali seeing something in me that kickstarted my career in events. Before that, I was kind of in it loosely for a couple of years, but it wasn't a career. It was Shonali that gave me that big break. And I think in the events industry, it's really important that you become that person that you needed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, we have a duty.
Yeah, we absolutely, we really do. We really do. And I wonder, then, do you remember a moment where it felt like it moved from being a job to a career? And then off the back of that, looking back at that early career, did you ever think that you'd be in this position doing what you're doing now?
No, in short is the answer. No, I didn't. It's so funny because I think that, like, when did I literally say this to people all the time. I'm literally a girl from Deptford who loved doing events. And then now I run like a 3-country agency, global agency. This is a bit crazy sometimes. No, I didn't think I would be here. And I still think I've still got so much further to go as well. I really believe I'm at the precipice, which is the word I was looking for earlier, of what this is really going to look like. I feel like I'm peaking at 40, but that's also very exciting. I think one of the biggest jobs I did, which was the first time moving from like a job, which then became, it was my company that was producing this event that was then like, wow, we did that, was in 2011 when we worked on the Spirit of London Awards, which took place at the Royal Albert Hall. And I was 25 at the time. And I didn't actually see like a final edit of the video of the show of the night till exactly a year later. And I just cried to just be like, oh my God, like I did that. Because that event took everything out, like every last bit out of me, working day and night for like 3 months. I remember when my daughter was like 7 years old at the time. And I remember having to go to sleep at night when she went to sleep at like 8 o'clock, but then waking up at 11 p.m., working till 4 a.m. and then sleeping from 4 a.m. till 7 a.m. when she then wakes up to do it again, just to try and get this event like over the line. It was just having to give so much of my time. And it was incredible. And it was at that point that I think I was like, okay, this is not just a job. Like, I've taken this to another level. And I think at that point, a brand started to form of like at the time it was a company called Madame Blah, like who that was forming to be and who that meant for me being that person. And then evolving over a couple of companies and some traumas to get to where we are now. It's very beautiful experience, very humbling as well, because it was a long time ago, but it still feels like the other day.
Yeah. Time has a funny feeling of doing that to us. Within those traumas, then, I'd love to ask the question, is there a moment that felt like a career failure that turned out to be the making of the Nadu that we know now?
Definitely several. I mean, do you know what? So the Zoo is my 4th company. And then I started like the Association of Black Event Professionals after, but before that, which has kind of followed the same tradition of what we do of events management. Yes, the Zoo is my 4th company. And the first iteration with a friend fell through. Okay, you kind of think, okay, I'm navigating this. Maybe it was best it happened. When that happened with Madame Blah as the biggest company at that time, it was the most traumatic thing. So the reason my eyes are so big now is because I was diagnosed through stress with Graves' disease and overactive thyroid. And that was very traumatic time around 2014, just navigating that, the loss of a friendship, what it meant coming out the other side, that actually, had it have not happened, I dread to think where I could have been with that person in business, even that person who I was in business, like not knowing and growing that it was one of the most awful experiences of my life. But had it have not happened, it wouldn't have enabled me to be where I am now with this company and my career. So yeah, really shit to know, but I think it's part of adulting, if you would, like this maturing and growth that you learn from experiences that you kind of just have to get through to get to the other side, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have to experience them. I guess what was the main thing that taught you about yourself as you kind of came through it?
Definitely resilience. I remember trying, or whilst that had failed, to like get another job or get a job, and applied for something like 70 jobs or something, and just didn't hear back from anyone, and having to take like an agency placement at LSE, stuffing envelopes with prospectuses just to get through Christmas and give my child a Christmas that didn't even come till February the next year, just to push through and to make sure there's food on the table, and very much being humbled by that process, but also realizing that I still can't get a job. Right. So I'm only destined to keep on pushing this vision, this mission to support and continue to grow and provide opportunities in the industry with, the Black community and then some. And it was just like, had I have not, it was a massive lesson, because every time and thereafter that I've tried to quit and leave the industry, it's like, no, you're not going anywhere. You stay right there.
Yeah, you're ours now. I mean, I often ask people on this podcast the moment that they found themselves in inclusion, and I guess what you're doing is you're building inclusion into what you do. What was the moment that you recognized that? Because that sounds like did that come later, or was it always part of the vision?
I think it was always part of who I was that made it an integral part of that vision as it grew. So I feel like as I grew, it grew with me, because yes, entering the events industry, where I remember working at Thames Festival, like a 3-month placement there, being the only Black person in the office and navigating this massive festival that I'm just like, I've never heard of this, but it's like the second largest festival in London outside Notting Hill Carnival. And I'm like, why have I not heard of this? Like being in that space and growing, and then like even having the experience of working within LGBT community, producing stuff with Afropunk, meeting my wife. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm adding another string to my bow, if you would, like building on these different nuances that are relevant and diverse for communities that I'm now, a part of, that I also have to stand up for and support even more. It just became more and more things under my belt, people in my network, people in my communities, that it was just like, this is just very natural progression of continuing to grow. As I was saying, I think earlier, the community and support, and what did that look like, being able to be a platform for all those different nuances that I experience and those around me do as well. So it was like this gradual build up. It wasn't just like, bam, there it is, go and be an advocate and do this. It was like, no, these lived experiences are helping me to understand and build on that.
Yeah. It's so beautiful to hear the story start from where you were to where you are now, and so exciting to see what's next. And within that, has there been someone that has shaped you the most along the way? Whether it's a role model or a mentor?
Do you know what? There are a lot of different people. I've always felt that, like I haven't been able to say like, oh, I have this mentor who's done this thing, but I've had many different mentors that have shown up in different ways that I can lean on, that provide advice, that start off as friends, that become family. I don't think it's any one. It's the people that are still within my network now and I communicate with in some way, shape or form has lent their experience to my own, that I think is where my growth comes from. And I think I'd have to like list them all in my book. Like, it will probably just come up in stories of like having these experiences. And I think sometimes I definitely felt this at 40 when looking at like my own friendship group. And I was a bit like, oh, what's happening? Who am I? Who am I to my friends? Who are my friends to me? But when I actually took a step back and looked in, it was like, oh, well, of course it's all these people that have been on this journey with me. And we've had this experience over, this time in these ways, that all of those people form, in some way, shape, or form as a mentor to me that I can continue to lean back on and allow them to lean on me as well. So yeah, quite a few people.
And it's really beautiful when it goes from being kind of a one-sided thing to a two-sided thing. I've certainly found that with kind of like, particularly with my relationship with Shanali, where it's like kind of, we went from her being my mentor to actually being peers.
I think it's part of that growth. You don't just, it's not just, I don't envisage like even people I mentor, like there should be a bit more that, you get that personal aspect of someone because that's the nuance of who they are, which is what drives them, which is what you're inspired by as a mentor, I think, that you have to kind of tap into a bit of that. So yeah, it's nice when you can have that and learn. I think it does work. It works both ways. Absolutely. It definitely works both ways.
For sure. When it comes to kind of like, reverse mentoring, intergenerational relationships, all of those things are so important for our growth and development. Does happiness and success look and feel how you thought it would?
No, not at all. I mean, thinking who 25-year-old Nadu was and at the Royal Albert Hall, what happiness and success looked like then looks very different now as 40-year-old Nadu in this current world climate, for sure.
And I wonder whether confidence comes into that and actually realizing I'm capable of this. This is what I'm all about.
Yeah, I've definitely had to give myself a little pep talk in the last couple of months to be like, Nadu, you've got this. Like, remember who you are. Yeah, I don't know. I think definitely when younger, a little less shit's given. More shit's given now as you're older, but also less shit's given as you're like hitting 40. I can't explain it. It's like you have to arrive here to know, it's just... Yeah, there's something about being here, that a newfound confidence that I still have to hype myself up to remind myself, like, you've still got it, and what you know and how you do things and why it's relevant and what it looks like. And now telling that story in this day and age is what I'm getting to grips with. Because whilst I have zero time to do socials and posts, it's like, well, how else is anyone going to know about you or what you do and the things that you do? And it's like, shouldn't they just know? No, why would they know? So it's also, hyping myself out to like remind myself of my story, my journey, and examples like this and talking on podcasts and being able to do it and just relive is very reaffirming, I will say. It's just a reminder for me of like, yeah, man, girl, you got this.
You really have. You really have. Looking back so far, what are you most proud of to date?
Ooh, honestly, my daughter, she's such a resilient, beautiful little human who's figuring out the world and is having to navigate shit, but is just doing so very well. Whilst it's, still difficult, I think I'm very set with the foundations were set and she's good. It's interesting. There's something that came about like when she hit 21, and like even though we weren't together physically on the same day, this like relief that has just left my shoulders and my body of feeling like, oh, okay, like she's made it. That sounds weird because obviously she's got such a journey to go, but just to get to 21 and like this new chapter of adulthood is quite exciting. I'm very excited for her and where she's at. Really proud of, I think, my own resilience as well, and being able to continuously push through, because the amount of times I thought this business was going to kill me in some way, or I was going to kill it in some way, for sure. I was definitely several times. I remember one time specifically, probably about 2 days away from liquidating the company, that I was just like, I'm done here. I'm done. So yeah, being able to continuously push through and grow it as an entrepreneur, I'm definitely very proud of, for sure.
What keeps you going on days when you feel like that, when it just feels...
I've ain't got no choice. I think I said that. I've tried to quit many times. I have no choice. I've just resided to the fact, Nadu, you've tried to quit enough times. The universe has not let you, so just continue. Go and do some yoga, go and do some deep breaths, realign, have a bed day if you need, and just trust in what you're doing and just keep on doing that thing. Like, as much as it may feel niche or it's not enough sometimes, that it is serving and it is, being received by people that need this. And when people do receive, I think, the training and the opportunities that we provide, it reminds me like, still got this, keep going. So yeah, sometimes I'll try.
Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Go ahead.
What album, book, or movie has had a lasting impact on you?
Well, I think I touched on it
You
before.
did.
Jill Scott. Yep, this is Jill Scott. That album, woo! Definitely. Movie, The Lobster.
What is The Lobster?
Oh, you have to watch it. It's just, very it's fucked up, but it's real.
Love it. And is there a book in there as well?
Absolutely. The Celestine Prophecy.
Okay.
Changed my life.
Changed your life. Okay. Must read. What's a saying you live by and one that you'd put straight in the bin?
Saying I live by. Often problem solution, communication expectations, those things go hand in hand. I feel like I say that more often than not to people. One that goes in the bin. I hate when fucking people say calm down. I don't even know if that answers the question you're asking. When people are like calm down, it's like, why are you telling me to calm down?
That's when in the history of being told to calm down has that helped?
Literally.
Like I just see rage when someone tells
Yes.
me to calm down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, dash that in the bin. Dash that in the bin.
Straight in the bin. What's been the best adventure of your life so far?
Oh, adventure.
And it could be any kind of adventure, whether a travel adventure or a relationship or...
Yeah, well, when you said adventure, the first thing that came to my mind was actually being stuck in COVID when we definitely had a bit of an adventure there and was stuck. Notice I say stuck in Zanzibar. That was an adventure because it didn't exist there. But whilst like getting stuck in South Africa and navigating and trying to be in Zanzibar and figuring out like how can we live here for as long as possible whilst trying to earn money in the world shut down because events don't happen. But this definitely feels like an adventure. Oh, and there's no Wi-Fi? Great. Yeah, that was exciting.
That sounds incredible though. What 3 words would you use to describe you and your origin story?
Ooh. See, this origin story sounds like it should be a villain or something coming out.
Or a hero?
Or hero, yeah.
What would you rather be? What would you rather be, a villain or a hero?
An undercover hero. Like Robin Hood, villain but hero. Does that make sense?
No, vigilante kind of.
3 words. I don't know. My business coach said to me the other day, like, I definitely need like motion, something. So I always need to be movement, like traveling, doing stuff. I love a challenge. I do love a challenge. And community. I would say community is the word I would use. Like I'm definitely about that network and bringing people together. Yeah. I don't know if that answers directly, but those are 3 words I would use.
It does. Motion, challenge, and community. Do those feel right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's fast forward a little bit. What exciting things do you have coming up?
We do have a few things. So I've recently joined the CAG, so the Community Advice Group for Black on the Square as well. Yeah. So very excited to be working with them this year and seeing how we can support. And yeah, quite excited about some of the stuff that's under wraps that we're going to be looking at as well in the UK, but also on the continent in South Africa. We'll be doing some stuff too. So yeah, very excited.
Stay tuned, people. What brings you joy?
Loud music. I love listening to music. Something I realized, like, to just drive and listen to music with my roof down, my little pink Mini Cooper.
I love that.
You'll see me coming. But no, there's something about just being completely immersed by sound. It brings me a lot of joy. And so does yoga. I've really found something very peaceful in my practice that I'm able to step into when I step onto the mat and just tap out of. So yeah, really, really, those 2 things, music and yoga, like bring me complete joy.
Bit of a practical question for anyone kind of like, let's target this as events industry actually. For anyone in the events industry that's listening, what practical takeaways would you have for them in terms of building inclusion into their practice and how they're doing what they do?
Do you know what? I think let's bring it right the way down to basics. Who is it you want to include? Who in your network is that person? Pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. I think we touched on it earlier. Like, if you don't know, just number one, if you're looking for someone who is diverse, like, what does that look like? Who are you trying to include? Find someone within your network or someone you know in your network that has access to someone and just ask the question. Yes. From there alone, you should be able to get enough information and to be signposted in the right direction with what works and what doesn't before you just kind of make assumptions or just say, oh, we didn't do it, like, oh, we're too lazy. Like, just take the time. I think that there's what toolkit can be given other than literally just look directly around you. And if we say 6 degrees of separation, but it's much less than that. And if you don't have someone who's in that direct, sphere around you, then you need to do a bit of work and then call us. But I would say look around you first and foremost.
Yeah, because there are people out there.
Yes.
Yeah. And that doesn't just go for speakers, actually. That goes for suppliers. That goes for partners. That goes for sponsors. There are so many people out there that are just waiting for a call.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Final question for you, Nadu, is this. Do you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for anyone out there to help them get to wherever they're going?
I mean, I should probably use my own words more so because I don't do the things that I also say to do sometimes. Take the opportunity. If something has been presented, and I say this, and this is where the Celestine prophecy comes in, because it was even something that I have been asking for and seeing and saying that was given to me, like literally on a plate. Like, Nadu, you thought about it this morning, you actioned that thought, and as you've gone out, it's happened. And you then haven't taken the opportunity to have the conversation, just do it. Just have the conversation, take the opportunity, whatever it is that presents itself. I think my biggest thing that I've been learning more recently is my intuition and how to really lean into that and believe and trust it. So 101 on this podcast as we're having this conversation, and it's to lean into that more. Period. Yeah.
Nadu, thanks for saying yes to being on this podcast. Thanks for the brilliant work you do with the Zoo XYZ. I'll give it the Z, the American value, because I like the sound of it. And yeah, just for the way you show up, like, you know, as someone in the same industry as you, I really respect and value what you do. And I'm so excited to see what's next.
Thank you for having me, Neil. Honestly, it's been my pleasure. I love sitting even on panels with you and more conversations. So thank you for providing that space.
So welcome. And I hope to see you soon. Cheers.